about it like that. Yeah, it was 12 of them. Wow, that's crazy. Okay. Yeah, I would definitely say that it had good reads. It was, drama filled. No physical fight. So I don't know if people give you a positive or negative for that.
Right.
So I give it about a 7.
Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I'd be like, some of our reunions, they had some seriously heated exchanges. I have to say, those give me with some 10s in the past. So I'll say this one giving me kind of like a 7. It was some good reads. It was some good back and forth. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. I was going to ask you this towards the end, but I'll ask you now. And I feel like I know the answer to this, but what has been your most challenging reunion? Because I don't think it doesn't seem like this one was that bad.
I mean, clearly season 9 was my most challenging reunion.
Okay. That's what I thought. And
the freaking worst reunion I ever had, like the entire time that I was there. I mean, I hate reunions. I've told people that I hate reunions. Like my stomach being knots. Like I don't like coming to sit and argue with people for hours. Like typically it's a whole day of arguing. Like you're just gonna be going back and forth with people, revisiting a whole bunch of uncomfortable conversations. Some of that stuff are things that you've already called yourself getting over, but as soon as you bring it back up, then you arguing about it again,
Right.
So it's like I hate reunions with a passion. So for me, it's always uncomfortable. This year, I didn't really have as much drama with, the ladies. So I guess it wasn't as bad for me coming into it. But like, normally I go into the reunion with my stomach in knots, not knowing if it's going to be a situation of, are we going to be ready to fucking cuss each other out?
Right. But you know what?
Are we already ready to fight? Like, what is this about to be?
I'm going to be honest. I'm a little surprised that you've done so many of them that they still really bother you like that.
Yes. I don't like arguing with people. Like, that's not something I like to do.
Right.
That's not my favorite pastime is arguing. Like, I'm a very laid back person, and I really go from one extreme to the other. Like, I really go from like, yeah, to like just, yeah, you know what I mean? So it's just like no in between. And so I never know when I'm going to go, that switch is going to flip, you know what I mean? And I just hate that like nervous feeling. And I don't know, and I don't like knowing how people are going to come at me. And I don't like putting people on blast about stuff. And I hate when I feel like people are going to come at me crazy and feeling like I'm forced to put people on blast about certain things. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't like it.
I understand. Well, I mean, just as a viewer watching you, you do seem pretty even keel, but we have seen you like be here and then, propel somewhere else. So we've seen it in action. Okay, so let's talk about the reunion tonight. Lots of Kenya was really in the hot seat a lot. As was Portia a little bit and Drew. I saw that Kenya and Portia kind of went back and forth about her activism, and Kenya kind of questioned some of her activism, and kind of they had it back and forth about it. You kind of stayed kind of mum about it. What's your stance on, I guess, Kenya's point of view in terms of Portia's activism?
That's the first time somebody even asked me that. Well, I mean, I would say the same thing I always say. To me, it doesn't really matter what her reason is for doing what she's doing.
Right.
I think the whole point is, Kenya has questioned her motives for doing the things that she's been doing, whatever. But I always say it doesn't really necessarily matter what the motive is. It's really the result is it motivates people to rise up and it inspires people. So I don't really think it matters what the motivation was, or whatever.
Okay, gotcha. I was laughing towards the end of the episode. You know, Drew's husband was in a hot seat about him being MIA for 3 days or whatever. Do you believe what he said, what he did?
I mean, I made it very clear to think. No, I didn't think it made any damn sense. Like, to me, and and that's even if it was my husband telling me that. Like, first of all, she didn't even know. Even when he came back, he didn't even tell her he was in Tampa. She didn't know where he had been. Like, she just knew he was on for 3 days. Like, to me, it shouldn't have taken all of this for him to tell her where he had been. You know what I mean? And it's just like to say, oh, I was just going to the beach. Like, you passed other beaches. Like, you just drove, like, what shit? Well, what happened to Destin? Where about Jacksonville? Like, I mean, how you come to Tampa? So I was just like, this story isn't adding up to me. And honestly, it was like, I did ask more questions. It's so funny. Like, when I watched the stuff back, like, they edit so many things out. Like, I was asking them, like, so you ain't never had nobody you used to work with that live in Tampa. You ain't got no friends that live in Tampa. Nobody live in Tampa. You just up and just landed in Tampa. Like, it just didn't make sense to me. I don't know. It wouldn't have flew for me. But what I will say is I love them together as a couple. So it's not like I'm saying, oh, she needs to break up with him or anything like that. But I'm just saying it ain't make no sense.
Right, I got it. And the thing is, one of the things about you is you kind of do wear your, what you're thinking on your face.
Expressions. I be making facial expressions and I don't even know that I'm doing it. So even when I'm watching the show back, I was like, oh God, why was I doing that? Like, I don't even know that half the time I didn't even realize that I did make those faces.
Right, yeah, it's funny. Let me ask you this, because we just talked about Drew and her husband, and then, you're really good friends with Kenya, and Kenya has, issues in her marriage. At what point, you're a woman, you're grown, you're married, you have friends that are in relationships and are married. When do you, as a friend, when do you say to them, like, I think you should leave? Because you said you were pretty vocal with Kenya saying, look, I think, when do you make that choice as a friend to say, look, I'm going to tell you, I feel like you should go?
I feel like she should move on. Well, because I just feel like the effort wasn't the same in wanting to mend the relationship. Like, first of all, I've spent time with her and Mark outside of what y'all seen on the show. So I have time with Mark, and I do like Mark. I think he's a cool guy, but I just feel like in their relationship, he hasn't been the best as far as giving her the affection or the love that she needs in return. And right. She's totally different in her relationships than she is with us as a group. Like, the way she is with the girls is not how she is in her relationship. And I just felt like, she was holding out for a long time, hoping that he would put in effort to try to, like, work things out or whatever. And I just didn't feel like it was being reciprocated. And I'm just like, okay, well, how long are you going to wait? And I get it. She wants the ideal marriage and all of that. But sometimes it just doesn't come the way that you imagined it to be, you know? And, you just got to be happy.
Move on. Okay, got it. I know that you're also friends with LaToya, and when you guys were filming, I saw that I think you went on a double date with her and her husband at the time. You and Todd and her husband at the time, and now they're not together. Mm-hmm. Were you guys? I know you said you were friends with LaToya. Were you guys like you were friends with her husband too? Were you like a double date kind of crew, or? No,
I had met LaToya through Ming Lee. When LaToya came to Atlanta, Ming had introduced me to her, and so we had hung out or whatever, and so that's how I became cool with LaToya. And so they got kids similar ages of Ace, and so they had came to like Ace's birthday parties and stuff like that. So we was cool, but then I had introduced them to the casting people for Housewives the year prior before their relationship fell apart. Mm-hmm. for whatever reason, it didn't work out. And so the following year they came back around to talk to them, but then they started having issues in their marriage, and he didn't want to be a part of the show no more.
Right.
So, we had all went out, so that, we could talk about it, and maybe, he can have, ask, talk to Todd, and maybe from a male's point of view, see, how he would feel or whatever,
right,
dealing with the situation. But clearly he still wasn't feeling it. But him and Todd are friends. They still cool and still hanging out.
I see on Instagram.
Yeah, they still cool. So, it is what it is. I mean, I hate that relationship didn't work out, because I think he is a really cool dude. He's a really good guy, and I hate that they having the issues that they having. But
do you think? I mean, we didn't really get to see him on the show, so I don't even know if this is a fair question. But you know how they always say, once you bring your relationship on TV, it kind of gets cursed sometimes.
Well, they started having problems before she even got on the show. So
okay. So that ain't it. All right, gotcha. But you did talk to her about their issues on your Speak On It. Mm-hmm. Were you surprised at all at what went down, or you already kind of knew ahead of time what you read and stuff like that?
Well, she had already been telling me about what was going on in the relationship, and she actually had been talking about it all throughout the taping, because like I said before, they were actually looking at her as potentially being a possible housewife, but because he wouldn't sign off on the kids being on the show and stuff like that, they end up not allowing her to be a housewife. So you never got any of her personal story.
Right.
She's a sharer, okay? She will tell you all her business, okay? But anyway, so yeah, I knew pretty much everything that was going on in their situation from her point of view.
Okay, got it.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Switching gears here, I recently read, I think it's like last week, that you said that you are not sure where you and Portia stand. And I guess where your relationship, where your friendship stands. And I'm assuming that comes from the live that she did, where she admitted that she asked for an episode to be removed from the show. She did a live. So I'm guessing that's where that may have came from. You could correct me if I'm wrong, but is it from that, or was it another issue that we didn't get to see, or?
Well, it's like different things would happen. It's like every time something happens, like I don't really be knowing what's gonna go on. So like, say for instance, everything will be cool, and then like the episode that aired when I said, I guess when I said to Don Juan, I wouldn't say that Kenya's lying. Right after that, she opted out of the group text that all of the housewives were on. So I was like, I guess she ain't talking to us no more.
Right.
So at that point, I hadn't talked to her at all up until we got to the reunion. But she seemed cool at the reunion, so I was like, okay, I guess we don't have an issue or whatever. And then, it was the article in the magazine that talked about the scene that was deleted or whatever. And then she did the Speak On It that wasn't on Speak On It. I was like, why you gotta do a Speak On It but won't come on Speak On It? I understand.
Right.
But, yeah, I that was interesting because, which I did speak about that on the Speak On It that I had to do. It was two-part Speak On It, because I never really addressed what she said in her Speak On It on her live, because actually when she did that, I was last week I was in Chicago. I had to do a big scene that I was filming for The Chi, and our movie was releasing for Envy, so I didn't want me speaking about what she had said on her live to become bigger than me promoting the movie that I had coming out last week. So that's why I didn't really too much talk about what she had said on her live or whatever. But yeah, clearly she, I didn't know where we stood after she did her live. I didn't know. I was just like, I don't know.
Do you know where you guys stand now?
I don't know. I guess, I don't know. I guess we okay. Like she definitely showed love and posted about the movie that, I was in last week or whatever. And when I finally did get to see her live, it wasn't like she said anything too crazy about me or whatever. So,
Right.
I mean, I didn't, I don't, I don't
Okay.
know.
No, well, I
Like, we are always in a weird space, and we will forever be, because, you know, the things that have happened with us has gone so far. I don't know if it's ever going to be like, oh, we besties,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? But we have this, we are part of a show that will always keep us tied. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Let's talk about Bolo. Did you realize that this bachelorette party would be like such a huge storyline this season? Did you have any idea that?
No.
Okay.
Going into it, I was just trying to make sure it was a lit party, because here's the thing. You know, the whole situation with the dungeon situation, you know, it came from a negative situation in the past. But from that, you know, I made the dungeon tour, and, you know, it has gone on to become its own